Alright guys, welcome to the series finale here with Atalanta, and today we are going to be doing our 5 years into the future, where we take a look at how Atalanta do after we stop being in charge. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to go past the first transfer window. I want them to start the first year with the team that we created. And then what we're going to do is at some point here, October, November, we are going to find a different club to manage. And then we are just going to watch Atalanta's next 5 years unfold right in front of our eyes, guys. So what we're going to do, I'm going to jump forward to right about here. I'm going to switch teams. And then we'll be back for the January transfer window to see how Atalanta are doing. Alrighty, folks, here we are at the deadline in January. And as you can see, we are at Juventus. And since it's imperative that I stay in Serie A, we made a transfer here, and I bought Mbappe in, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, we're going to take a look at what Atalanta have been up to and what their January was like. And as you can see, 4 players out, 0 players in. Koundé out, Greco out, Popov out, Barrow out. They've raised £166 million, but nobody comes into the club. So players out, no players in, and as you can see, they sit second in the league behind Inter. They are level on points, which means goal difference is the issue here. Still just the 1 loss so far. It is going to be a very, very tight race, but we can also go ahead and take a look at what the Champions League is like, as well as the Coppa Nazionale before we move on to the end of the season. This is Serie A, and here we go, Champions League. And are they in here? They are. They will play Liverpool in the round of 16. That is a tough round of 16 matchup. But they will play Liverpool. What happened in their group? Oh, they must have finished second then behind Leipzig. If Liverpool finished first. And they did finish second behind Leipzig. Leipzig went undefeated in that group. Unbeaten as well. 6-0-0. Atalanta, 2 losses but 4 wins. Both to Leipzig, I assume. And we can actually check that. They lost 3-0 at home and then 2-1 away from home. So not the greatest, but they are still in all the competitions. And hopefully at the end of the year, we will see them win a trophy or 2. So let's jump forward all the way to the end of the year to see what happens. Alrighty, folks, here we are at the end of our first summer window in year 2. And as you can see, the big deal right there, Osimhen has moved on to Paris for £172 million. 1.1 billion spent on the final day here. Now let's take a look at Atalanta. As you can see, £207 million spent, £500 million raised. Absurd stuff here. Traore, Pereira, Saka, Depay, Reina, Osimhen all gone for a combined £500 million. And then they bought in Palacios, Tagliafico, Mohamed Salah, and Paul Pogba. So, I mean, they bought some good players in. Let some good players leave. Saka, I figured, would eventually go, mainly because he was just kind of stuck in a wide position where we have plenty of wide players. You know, the right back is gone, but we've got Tavares there still. I mean, so they've let players go. Obviously, Osimhen's a huge deal, but Salah coming in, Pogba, you know, there are some big names coming in as well. So we're going to see how that affects them once we get to midway here, and we are going to go forward right to the end of January and see what happens. All right, folks, here we are at the end of January, and we're going to take a look and see what Atalanta have done. And as you can see, not a whole lot. Giuba comes in for 3.5 million, and then Silvera leaves for 3.7 million. So a relatively quiet type of year, and as you can see, they're not having a great year either. They sit here in 5th, 1 point behind Cagliari. It's tough. It's not great. It's not going as well as it could, obviously, and they are not where they want to be. They obviously want to be in Champions League next year, but they've let a lot go, and it's tough. It's tough when you let so much go and don't really replace it as well as you could have. But they are in the semifinal of the Coppa Nazionale, Atalanta, Inter, and then Juventus and Milan. And then in the Champions League, have they reached the second round? They have not. Oh, yes, they have. They will play Valencia there. That scared me a little bit. But they will play Valencia, and they will still be in all these tournaments. Obviously, the goal from here is top 4 and maybe a trophy, but top 4 has to be the goal. So we will join back at the end of the year and see what has happened to this Atalanta team. Alrighty, folks, we're back, and at the end of year 2, as you can see, Atalanta did manage to finish 4th, 3 points ahead of Roma, and that is probably as good as they could have hoped for considering where they were. And our manager rating is really low, which is disappointing. I hope I don't get fired from here because I don't want to go through this anymore. But as you can see, 4th place. They will be playing Champions League football next year. We'll see if they can spend any of their money. They have a ton of it. In the Coppa Nazionale, they were beaten by our team, which is unfortunate, but they lost in the final. And then in the Champions League, they were not around. Here they were. They lost to Liverpool. Again, tough. 2 years running. Liverpool knocked them out, this time on away goals. That is a tough one. A really tough one. But a little bit of a dip. And into the next year, we're going to have to go. Year 3, they're going to need to do a little bit more if they want to go ahead and, replicate what Watford did. But it's a pretty big fall off from last year, doing the domestic double and then going 4th, quarterfinal, and in the final. It's just a bit of a jump down, but we'll see if they can do anything more. Alrighty, folks, here we are. Year 3, summer window. We're about to see what Atalanta have done, and as you can see, quite a bit of change. Zagadou, Tierney, Ceballos into the club, and then Kasache, Van Hoosden, Kessie, Azevedo, and Tielemans out. So £230 million raised, £154 million spent. They bring a straight swap in at left back by the looks of it. Zagadou comes in, and then Ceballos into midfield. So there's some swaps in there, and hopefully they do a little bit of damage with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to sim forward to the next window, January, right at the end here. And we'll be right back and see what they're doing during the season and what they're going to do in the January window. Alrighty, folks, here we are, January, deadline day, and we're going to take a look at what is going on in year 3. And as you can see, Atalanta haven't sold anybody, but they bought in a player, Wolver, however you want to say it. £23 million, not exactly a busy window, but not too bad of a window, I suppose, as well. So let's go and see what the table looks like. And as you can see, they're back on top. Top of the league by 2 points over the team we have here. 2 losses, 2 draws, 17 wins. A very, very good record so far. Excellently done as they try to wake up a little bit after last year's disappointment. They are not in here anymore. They lost to Roma in the quarterfinal of the Coppa Nazionale. And then in the Champions League, are they here? They are. They will be in the round of 16. They will play Atletico Madrid in the round of 16. So they still sit here, and they're kind of having a year that's a little bit better than last, obviously. They'll obviously want to be here at the end of the season, which we are going to skip forward to right at the end of June here, right in the middle of June, and we'll see how the year works out for Atalanta. Alrighty, here we are at the end of year 3, and as you can see, Atalanta miss out on the title. Juventus won the title here, as you can see, by 2 points, and then Milan finished second, 1 point behind. We'll see if there are any losses here that would have done it. They beat Milan on the final day, so even going into the final day, that wasn't really enough, was it? Ever so close, yet ever so far. Milan actually dropped off late. 2 losses in their last 2. Knocked them out of contention, really. Otherwise, they would have won the league, but disappointing. And then, of course, in the Coppa Nazionale, Inter beat Juventus in the final. Atalanta beaten by Rome on penalties. And then in the Champions League, Liverpool win it, and Atletico Madrid knocked Atalanta out. A 2-0 win in Italy on the second leg is a tough one there. So Atalanta's season full of promise. Halfway through, kind of ends in a not so great way. No trophies in the end, but you know, that's how these things work. There are 2 more years here at Atalanta. They won the double the first season. Last year, of course, fading away a little bit, but this year working it back just a touch. We'll see if year 4 can bring anything different. Now let's see what happens in the transfer window. Okay, here we are. Summer transfer window, year 4. And let's take a look and see what Atalanta did. And as you can see, Palacios is gone, someone they bought in the first window, and then Saul has come in. And what's not shown on here that I saw as well, Arthur, the Barcelona and now Juventus midfielder, has joined Atalanta for free. So Saul and Arthur come into the club, Palacios leaves, and that is quite the midfield pairing that they've created in this year, of course. So we're going to jump forward to the January 31st, to the deadline day window in January. We're going to see how everything is going for Atalanta. Alrighty, here we are on deadline day, and as you can see, we are at a different club because at Juventus we had too few players and I wasn't paying attention to it too much. But as you can see, here we are. Tete, Xavier, Cruz, and Pogba leave Atalanta, and then Rodrigo, Stones, and Stefan come in, so not too bad. A couple decent players in Rodrigo, of course, a very good player, and then Stones at center back. A goalkeeper, a winger, a left back, and Pogba, the midfielder, of course, leave. We're going to take a look and see what's going on around. As you can see, for Juventus, after 22 games, they sit in the relegation zone. And that pretty much happened because there were not enough players and they were forfeiting a ton of games. But it'd be kind of funny if they went straight down anyway. But let's take a look at the top of the table, which is what matters. And as you can see, Atalanta top it. 3 points ahead of Torino, 3 points ahead of Roma. 1 loss on the season. Obviously having a very good year there as they look to get back to the top of Serie A. Out of the Coppa Nazionale, though. They lost to Inter there. 5-4 on penalties. A bit tough, but it is what it is. And then Champions League football, of course. Are they into the next round? They are. They will play Lyon in the round of 16. So there is a couple of good spaces here. A couple of good positions they are in, and hopefully at the end of this year they find themselves in a really, really good place and win a couple trophies. But let's jump to the end of year 4. Alrighty, folks, we are back, and as you can see, we have fallen down a couple of tiers. But what we're going to do is we are going to end this here. I am going to take a look at how everything went for Atalanta, and we are going to end it after 4 years, mainly because the chances of me surviving and then staying in Italy, I'd have to play out half a season. We're not going to do that. So 4 years, this will end it here. And as you can see, Atalanta, there are 64 bloody games, but they lost once, and it's all glitched out, and we're getting late on into this. But we can safely assume that Atalanta won the league in this year here. They won it by 35, obviously. Pretty wild stuff, but that tends to happen sometimes. You get a couple of glitches as we get this late into it, and you do all this simming. Let's go to the Coppa Nazionale. They did not win this. Being beaten by Inter on penalties is something we looked at last time, and then in the Champions League, Liverpool win it again. Brighton here. I'm not seeing. Oh, Lyon must have knocked us out. It did. So no Champions Leagues after we left. We had a lot of players leave. Won the league 3 times, though. It's one of those things, or twice. And the Coppa Nazionale. So a couple of trophies. Not as good as Watford when we ended it there, but, you know, it is what it is. And unfortunately, it wasn't as good as Watford's last 5 years. And though we only went through 4, they were getting better. It took them a while to overturn the squad. And then eventually get to this point where they, you know, got back to winning ways. But as I said, we are going to end it after 4 years any further, and I feel like my game might fall apart, guys. But that is going to be it. As I said, thank you for joining us and our Atalanta save. Of course, this is technically for the finale, but the episode before this is, you know, mostly the finale. This is just a later on in the future kind of deal. But I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Of course, stay tuned as we move on into our newest career mode. And peace.